Hello and welcome everybody. Oh, croaky voice this morning. Hello everyone. Good morning. So here we are on the Social Today show, all about social media, how you can use social media for your business, organisation, charity or agency. And my name is Jonathan Pollinger of intranetfuture. So Mondays we look at social media news. Tuesday I let you have a tip, actually usually more than one. Usually some social media tips. Wednesday it's an example, and today being Thursday we're looking at a handy useful social media tool that will hopefully make your tweeting in this case more efficient and effective, and it's also a great listening tool too. So coming on to that soon. Morning Scott, welcome to you this morning. Hope all is well. Tomorrow is Laptop Friday. It's an event that I run here in Cardiff. Also an event. Oh, Dave, good morning. How are you? Also an event that that is run. I found it in Cheltenham, but continues to be run in Cheltenham. So if you are local to Cheltenham or Cardiff tomorrow, drop into that event, and I'll hopefully be doing a broadcast from there. Give you a bit of the vibe of the event on Periscope tomorrow. I'll possibly pick up an interview with one or two people there. So moving on to today's tool, it's an oldie but goodie today, and as you might have guessed, the tool is TweetDeck. Morning Sue, good morning to you. So TweetDeck, it has two uses really, two sides to it. So there's the publishing side to Twitter, so you can publish out to multiple accounts from TweetDeck, which is pretty handy. I do that a little bit, but I must say that my preferred tool for that is of course the old friend Buffer, which I have mentioned and reviewed a couple of times on this show. But you can use TweetDeck if Twitter is really your focus, and particularly if you have multiple accounts, it is very useful for publishing. You can also schedule on TweetDeck, which unless you're advertising on Twitter, isn't available on twitter.com, so a little bit of extra functionality there on the scheduling. And it's also good, of course, if you have multiple people managing a particular account, because they can all have their own TweetDeck login, and they can then manage the company or organisation's account from their own account. Also available on mobile as an app as well. And it's actually owned by Twitter. They bought it for a couple of £100 million a few years back. It's actually founded by a guy in London, created and developed by a guy in London who sold it out to Twitter. So it does, at least currently, have the support of Twitter behind it. But I must say, as with all things Twitter, they've been a bit slow on the innovation front and haven't exactly improved it very much, or hardly made any changes whatsoever in the time since they've taken it over. But that said, it is still pretty useful. Now, the other side of TweetDeck, which is really the main side and where it comes into its own, is its approach with columns. So TweetDeck has columns, and you can basically set up columns for all sorts of things. You can set up a column for your news feed, for example, or you can set up a column for a keyword. So you can basically do a keyword search, so search for leads perhaps relating to your business. Yeah, that's pretty much my approach, Scott. Yeah, absolutely. TweetDeck's strength really is in the listening or monitoring side of things, which I'm just talking about now. And Buffer really is all about scheduling, and publishing makes that very efficient and effective for you. Nice combination of tools. So yeah, TweetDeck a little bit more on the listening side of things. Columns, you can set up keywords, so those could be around your competitors. Also could be looking at what your suppliers are up to, or even finding a new supplier. Also what's going on in the local area, so perhaps put in a column with the name of your town, or a hashtag and the name of your town. And another tip for this is pick up some of the conversations perhaps about you, your business, or your brand that aren't picked up in the mentions column. So remember, the mentions column, it only picks up at and the account name when people have actually mentioned at and the account name, but they might not know your name on Twitter. So do set up a column for your company name only. And also set up a separate column for your website, because again, people might be talking about your website and might not be using a shortened link. They may well put a reference into your website there, xyz.com, whatever it is, and not necessarily mention the account name. So worthwhile setting up a column for that. So lots of opportunities for columns there in terms of the search. Another idea for you on TweetDeck, really handy, is lists. Now, Twitter lists are tremendously powerful. I think probably almost certainly an underused feature on Twitter. So you can basically set up a list of a group of anybody. You can add anybody to a list. So it might be local business people, might be people in your sector that you want to have conversations with, could even be your competitors. And here's a sneaky little tip for you, because of course if you add all your competitors to a list, you can follow them on that basis. And if you add one competitor to a list, yes, they are going to be notified that you've added that one competitor, but it is kind of like a way of following a competitor, but without actually clicking the follow button. So that's a possibility for you there in terms of setting up lists in columns on TweetDeck. Pretty handy. It's all about the columns really on TweetDeck. Listening and monitoring, and there's no limit, quite interestingly, no limit whatsoever to the amount of columns that you can have on TweetDeck. So you can go on ad infinitum with the standard columns such as home, mentions, that sort of thing, as well as the keyword search. Yes, that's a very, very good point. Yes, if you set up a private list, absolutely, I'd forgotten that bit. Thank you, Sarah, for dropping that in. I was just thinking that was a bit odd as I was saying it. So yeah, sneaky way of following your competitors or following a competitor is to set up a private list, and then they aren't notified. 28 columns there. I think you've actually beaten me on that one. Hold on, I've got TweetDeck in front of me here. Let's have a count up. Everyone have a count up if you're on TweetDeck to how many columns that you've got. But I think Elliot's a winner there. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let me scroll down the page. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. This is good live broadcasting. It's 17, 18, 19, 20. 24, Elliot, you win, hands down, 28 columns, so well done there for that, Elliot. Just while I'm on today, folks, obviously do ask me any questions about TweetDeck that I have anything I've covered so far or haven't covered. Yeah, it's a useful tool, Shane. Thank you for joining us, Shane. Good to see you on the show. Just a final piece before I leave. Obviously, quite big news yesterday with Facebook bringing in some new buttons. So now, if you hover over the like button, you can get other options such as love, wow, and possibly the interesting one is angry. Yeah, I was just going to say, what do you think about these new buttons? So yeah, it gives us more opportunity for expressing our emotions. I'm going to have to think of some creative ways to using them. I'm sure there's some good ideas we can come up between us for using these buttons. And I kind of did go over to a couple of pages to check that they're working on pages, because it was quite yeah, Dave, I think that's possibly a good one. Certainly anything to do with cats, I think. As far as I'm concerned anyway. Missing cats might be a bit harsh, but yeah. It's yeah, they are available just on the personal side, as yeah, customers will like it, but I'm not sure. It's just the point I was going on to, Shane. Actually, interesting one. Brands aren't going to like it, are they? So you know, people could willy-nilly go down on a brand's posts and make out that they are angry on multiple posts. So I'm not sure what happens there. Not too good for a brand page if there's all these anger faces all over it. And it is, you know, it's very negative saying that you're angry, and after all, it is a negative emotion. So not too convinced about the angry button and how that will go down. People say they can't find the button upgrade. Well, Facebook have said it is actually available to everybody, but perhaps that's not strictly speaking the case. These things usually actually are rolled out country by country. So if we just remember the fact that they are now up to 1.5 billion users, then obviously, techie-wise, technical-wise, server-wise, it is going to take some time to roll out any new piece of functionality. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how people use them. And at the moment, I don't think people are actually aware that they're there, because just, I know it's just a matter of hours, really, isn't it? But being on Facebook a little bit as I am, I haven't really noticed too many of the icons plastered around the place. Yeah, that is true. Certainly, I think as well. I haven't read that anywhere from Facebook, but certainly that was my experience of that just on the actual posts themselves. So yeah, a whole new thing. But as I did have actually mentioned in the past. Onto comments. Possibly they might use them on comments as well, but maybe they're just trying to keep things simple for the time being, Sarah. Yeah, we will see what happens to these icons on there and how they will be used. So I think that's pretty much it for today. I hope you revisit TweetDeck. Some of you revisiting it haven't looked at it for a while. If you've not used TweetDeck, then just Google TweetDeck and pick it up. You can run it pretty much in any browser, and there are apps available too. So you can reach out to me on social media at intranetfuture, and Twitter is my preferred channel. Have a fantastic day, whatever you're doing today, and back tomorrow from Laptop Friday. I'm off to grab some breakfast. Bye for now.